Let me share my slides. Can you see the slides? Okay, I assume that you can see the slides. Okay. So, auspicious greetings. It's good to have everyone again. Before we start, let us give ourselves a short moment to ground ourselves by doing a short meditation. So if you have anything else that you need to take care of, so let us temporarily put aside. And if you have glasses, let us go ahead and remove them. As I sit comfortably with 2 feet flat on the floor. If we feel comfortable with our eyes fully closed, let us go ahead and close our eyes. If not, we can have a gentle gaze in front of us. Let us just relax and bring our focus and attention to the present. Let us slowly take in a 3 deep breath. Now let us gently wrap our palms together. Cover our palms on our eyes, top of our head, over our ears to the back of our neck. Let us wrap our palms together. Gently massage our shoulders, arms, all the way to our fingers and wrists. Okay. Let me see, where's my slides? Hold on. Hold on. Okay, now. Hey. So today I know like every week for us to look at 2 chapters is a little bit too much, too fast. So today kind of like focus more on chapter 12. And before that, let us have a quick recap of what we have discussed last week on chapter 10 and 11. We kind of like learned how Vimalakirti tried to show and demonstrate the importance of doing offerings to all beings. Okay, so he manifested himself and then gathered rice from the land of fragrance accumulated, and then with a bowl of rice and with a heart and mind that is so vast and boundless, he kind of like Vimalakirti offered to everyone who were present there. So including the 9 million bodhisattvas that came along from the Pure Land of fragrance accumulated. And of course, eventually they all went back to see together to see the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, who is in Shahawal. And then we kind of like stop at the discussion about how the great disciples of the Buddha felt bad about like how they have already practiced the arhatship that they have achieved and realized, and then still with all the supernatural power that Vimalakirti demonstrated and showed, including all the bodhisattvas, with a different level of realization, the great disciples out of like arhats or even Shravakas or Pratyeka Buddhas, even though they have like way better than us, they are already liberated, but they liberated with the self-practice and focusing on like Shravakas is through the listening of the Buddha's teachings that they realize our hardship. And for Pratyeka Buddha is through observation and contemplation on dependent origination, and then they have realized our hardship or a certain level of achievements in self-practice. And of course, for them to make vows to practice Bodhisattva's path, one will continue one's path onwards until Buddhahood. Okay, so but then the Buddha tried to convince others, saying that it is important for us to be able to understand that every one of us, all beings, we all have different capacities, different level of understanding, different levels of realization. So that's the reason why, like this, we see things, we perceive things differently. Yeah, so with that understanding, comparing with the Pure Land from other places to the Pure Land on earth, which is referring to the Shahawal, Shakyamuni Buddha manifested or show different ways of practices to all beings. So with that, we can see how the great compassion of Shakyamuni Buddha trying his best, utilizing skillful means to deliver and share the Dhamma and help a being, no matter what level one's achievements is, no matter what level one's understanding. The Buddha is trying to find ways to help and reach out. Okay, so and before we really look into chapter 12, I would like to share with you something very interesting. And this is the audio that was generated via AI. It's very interesting that this program was being fed with the summary of the Vimalakirti Sutra. And then it takes about like less than 10 minutes. I would like everyone to listen how the importance of feeding the right information on the internet or even to any places with people, with computer, as long as the information if it's accurate, that is important because it will continue to spread and continue to develop further. So I'm going to play this audio, and if you cannot hear it, let me know.
Ever walk into someone's home and just, get a sense of their life, their beliefs, just from the objects around you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, imagine a belief so central it's practically woven into the fabric of a culture. That's the feeling I'm getting from this deep dive into Guanyin.
I see what you mean.
You share this fascinating saying with me. In every house, Amitabha Buddha. In every household, Guanyin. That's uh, that's not just a casual statement, is it?
No, not at all. It speaks volumes about how deeply embedded Guanyin is within Chinese Buddhism. To say there's a Mikaba Buddha in every house, well, that's acknowledging the presence of the divine. But to then say Guanyin is in every household,
Right.
it implies something more intimate, closer to the everyday experiences of people.
Like a spiritual presence, always there. And it's interesting because this text refers to Guanyin by so many names. Ever walk into someone's home and just
Okay. So this is a short part of referring to the great compassion of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattvas or Guanyin Bodhisattvas that next week I'll try to share with you the one that really focuses on Vimalakirti. Yeah, but this is the voice that you just heard. It is generated by AI. Okay, so using the computer to feed with the text, and then start to have the conversation between two people, as if like we're listening to a podcast or we're listening to a conversation between two people. Okay, so this is just a feel of like like sharing and talking about one teachings or one practices. And for today, we're going to look at before we dive into like the contents of chapter 12. Okay, so let me share with you a little bit about here where we know that Vimalakirti together with the 9 million bodhisattvas, the great disciples, and the Brahmins, and so on and so forth. Everyone comes back and then pay respect, pay homage to Shakyamuni Buddha. Okay, so, and then Shakyamuni Buddha then say to Vimalakirti that you wanted to see the Tathagata or the Buddha. Now, how do you regard the third come one? So in the sutra, you mentioned about this come one. Okay, so and then the chapter begins by Vimalakirti then talks about the Tathagata that transcended beyond duality, and then even like the talk about Vimalakirti as reply saying that I would regard my own nature form or reality the same way as I do regard the Buddha. And for the Buddha, it doesn't exist in the past time and not also departing in the future and not abiding at the present at the same time. So this a quick short introduction to this chapter is like seeing should be a Buddha. I'm going to explain later what Buddha is this. But this passage illustrates that the Tathagata's transcendence beyond duality, and then the notions that we have about birth and death, or the changes of life and death itself, the way the word illusory here is referring to how it is dependent on the right causes and conditions that evolve into birth and death. It evolve into like existence and non-existence. So here the word illusory is not what we might have understood about not real. Okay, but the not real here is referring to how an existence is constantly changing and there's no permanent nature to it. Okay, and this chapter also talk about the Bodhisattva's role in guiding others without attachments. So if the Bodhisattvas knows that all beings exist because of that particular causes and conditions. So knowing that the beings and the action of like helping, and then the things that were being helped, all these are dependent on the current situation, current people, current conditions. By knowing all this, a Bodhisattvas, when practicing the paramitas, one will do it without attachments. Okay, and of course, it also talks about Vimalakirti bringing the wonderful joy Pure Land, which is referring to Akshobhya Buddha's Pure Land, how he inspires enlightenment, and then eventually how he vowed to come to Sahawa and continue in sharing the teachings and practicing the Bodhisattva's path. Okay, so who is Akshobhya Buddha? Okay, let me go back to this picture here that can kind of like try to depict the Akshobhya Buddha is presiding in the west. Okay, not sorry, the east. Out of the 10 directions, Akshobhya Buddha is the word Akshobhya is translated as immovable or unshakable, especially referring to the specialty, the focus of the Buddha's ability to remain undisturbed by anger or agitation. So that's why the word immovable or unshakable is used to describe this Buddha, is because of the nature of the Buddha's, the practice of the Buddha that remains calm and at ease and undisturbed by anger and agitation. Okay, so this Buddha represents the transformation of anger and hatred into wisdom and clarity. Okay, so and of course, when it comes to Buddha, sometimes we kind of like relates to the color. Okay, so Akshobhya Buddha is in the east. Okay, and then usually the color that depicts this Buddha is usually blue color, and then the posture is usually in a meditation posture, but the Buddha's right hand is doing the Bhumi Prasya Mudra, which is the earth touching gesture, with all the fingers tips like touching the ground, the earth. Okay, so that represents like calling the earth to witness his enlightenment or his resolve in enlightenment, and showing confidence and deep rootedness and determination. And of course, the color blue is just like the water. Look at this picture here, it's just like the water. And it symbolizes vastness and immovability of space. And water, it reflects things like mirror. So meaning that if this person is standing next to the water, the reflection is reflected. If this situation is like that, it is just reflected just like that, without any stirring of the surface of the water. So in one of the main teachings by this Buddha, it encourages practitioners, Buddhists, to cultivate mental stability and clarity, and aiming to remain unshaken by any of the life challenges. So in this Buddha, if some of you might go to visit some of our Foguangshan Buddhist temples, when you enter the shrine where you see the 5 figures of the Buddhas, usually Akshobhya Buddha is the second one to from the center. This is the second one from the center to the right, where you can notice it with the right hand touching the ground. Okay, so that is Akshobhya Buddha. Okay, and usually refers to the blue color, and is a reminder of remain calm and undisturbed by any challenging situation and undisturbed by anger. Okay, so when it comes to seeing the Buddha, earlier we mentioned that the Buddha asked Vimalakirti, you wanted to come and see the Buddha, but then how do you regard the Buddha, the thus come one? Okay, So Vimalakirti described the Tathagata as beyond form, because we know that like Shakyamuni Buddha, the reason why the Buddha was alive for 80 years. The 80 years old is because of the physical body, okay, that is temporarily existed. When the causes and conditions are right, the Buddha's physical body is still there, but it's constantly changing according to the physical changes. Okay, so when the Buddha still has a physical form, that is the Buddha's physical form. Okay, it is not referring to Tathagata or the third come one or the enlightened one, the Buddha. Okay, so Vimalakirti described the Tathagata as beyond form, perception, conception, and all conditioned attributes. So when seeing the Buddha, okay, he transcends birth, death, and duality, and exists as embodiment of ultimate reality, free from worldly distinction or any conceptual labels. Okay, so when the Buddha asked, you want to see the thus come one? No, how do you regard the thus come one? Okay, so Vimalakirti said, as I would regard my own true nature, true form, or the reality in that way, the same as I do regard the Buddha. So the Buddha itself is non-existence, like it's not a form. And Vimalakirti said, I do not regard the Buddha as a resembling form, meaning that it's not a physical form. If there's a physical form, it is conditioned. If it is conditioned, it's constantly changing. So that's the reason why Vimalakirti reinforced the idea that the Tathagata is beyond form. It's beyond the resembling of form. It is beyond the nature of form. Okay, so that's why Vimalakirti, when it refers to seeing the Buddha, it's not seeing the physical Buddha, but it's referring to the Dhammakaya of the Buddha, where it is beyond the physical existence, and it's beyond perception, conception, volition, and consciousness, which is the five aggregates. No form, feelings, mental volitions, perceptions, and consciousness. Okay, because all of this, if we perceive the Buddha as based on the five aggregates, this is the condition. Okay, but this is the level of a Bodhisattva who is referring to Vimalakirti and seeing the Buddha, the Tathagata. Okay, it's not referring to us. If we were in India 2,600 years ago, we might be there, but we don't recall. But if we were there during the Buddha's time, what we see, it could be the physical form of the Buddha. But for beings who are different in capacity, see things differently. It's just like the other day when we were walking, and then since we have the little monks out in front of our little free library, which is right in front of the bookstore, because the little monks is like have a reclining figure. So I was just laughing that, oh, this little monk have the eye level with the dogs. So whoever that walk their fur babies along in front of the temple, the fur babies will always have the eye contact with the little monks. So for doggies or cats or any beings, imagine how they perceive this world. What they see in their mind, then what we perceive, is it the same? Sometimes no. I would say not really, because imagine if we see the dog treats. Okay, so to us, those are dog treats. But for the doggy, they see joy, they see happiness, they see something that they can snack with. Okay, so even though it's the same thing, but different beings see things differently. It's just like water. A fish look at water as if like one cannot see anything, because water is at home. Okay, but for us, we can drink the water. Okay, and then for different beings, they might look at it as, like, for example, hungry ghosts might look at the glass of water as a glass of blood. So different beings see things differently. And for here is referring to Vimalakirti as Bodhisattva view the Buddha as someone beyond form, perception, conception, and all conditioned attributes. Okay, so then moving from the Buddha to the disciples, who is Sariputra. Okay, and then out of curiosity, Sariputra asked Vimalakirti, because we always, sometimes we will hear the Buddha say that, oh, okay, so and so, this disciples, before being here, you are from another, you are born as a heavenly being, for example. In previous life, you were a king, for example. And here, Sariputra was asking Vimalakirti that, noble sir, where did you die to reincarnate here? So where were you before coming here, in other words? Okay, Vimalakirti declared, is there anything among the things that you see, elder, that dies or is reborn? Okay, this is like in the text here. I'm just reading. Okay, so, and then Sariputra replied, there's nothing that dies or is reborn. And Vimalakirti replied and continued, likewise, elder or Reverend Sariputra, as all things neither die nor are reborn, why do you ask, where did you die or reincarnate here? And Sariputra, if one were to ask a man or woman created by a magician, where he or she had died to reincarnate here or there, what do you think that he or she would answer? And Sariputra replied, noble sir, a magical creation does not die, nor is it reborn. And then Vimalakirti continued, saying that, did not the Tathagata declare that all things have the nature of a magical creation? And Sariputra replied, yes, noble sir, that is indeed so. And Vimalakirti continues, Reverend Sariputra, since all things have the true nature, the nature of a magical creation, why do you ask, where have you died to reincarnate here? And death itself is the end of performance, and rebirth is a continuance of performance. But although a bodhisattva dies, he does not put an end to the performance of the root of virtue. Although a bodhisattva is reborn, the bodhisattva does not adhere to the continuance of karma or wrongdoing, or the word sin is used here. Then the Buddha said to Venerable Sariputra, this holy person came here from the presence of the Tathagata Ashobhya in the universe of Abhirati, which is referring to the pure land of this Buddha, Ashobhya Buddha. Right? So with this question, Sariputra asked, why did Vimalakirti, because the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, told Sariputra, because Shakyamuni Buddha was looking at how Vimalakirti and Sariputra is like going back and forth, and then eventually Shakyamuni Buddha spoken, saying that, Sariputra, this person, Vimalakirti, he came from the Pure Land in the east of the Akshobhya Buddha. So in that Pure Land is called Abhirati. Okay. So, and then that is the reason why Akshobhya Buddha was being mentioned in this context. Okay. And then Sariputra started to think about, oh, this Akshobhya Tathagata, the Buddha, is known of calmness, and in that Pure Land, there's no anger, there's no agitation, there's no conflict. Why Vimalakirti, being born in that Pure Land, why did he chose to reincarnated here in the Sahara wall, where look at this picture that I've chosen here. There's a constant conflict. There's lots of greed, anger that was going on. The impure, like to Shariputra that refers here. This is Saha wall, is the wall of endurance, the wall filled with suffering. Okay. And then why Vimalakirti chose to come here instead of like continue his practice in the Abhivarati Pure Land together with Akshobhya Buddha. Okay. And then Vimalakirti then said, okay, look at the sun. Why does it visit this continent of Jumbudipa? Okay, so in the text, there's a word Jambudvipa. Okay, Jambudvipa is referring to the place in the bottom, and then Sahawal is part of it. Okay, and because it wishes to use its brightness to drive away darkness. Okay. Why the sun will come here? Why there's the sun that we can see? Okay, so and then Vimalakirti continues. The Bodhisattva is like this. Though he's born in an impure Buddha land, he does this so that he can share the Dharma with all living beings. Okay, it's just that when the light of the sun shines forth, okay, it doesn't mix with the darkness. So even though a Bodhisattva vow to come here to be born in the Saha world, okay, with such all the sufferings, and then sometimes we might come across the word impurities, and just like what Vimalakirti mentioned here, it's just like the sun when it shines, okay, it doesn't mix with the darkness, okay, and the sun bring brightness, and then it will penetrate and light up the whole dark sky. Okay, and darkness will advance, the darkness will cease to exist. Okay, so, and then the questions that we can ask ourselves, that even though we listen to this parable of the light of the sun shines through, is just like having a candlelight, or we turn on the flashlight on the phone whenever we enter a dark room. Okay, so the light, the flashlight that we have shines through the dark room. Okay, and then when we have the flashlight, we'll be able to see. Okay, and where does the darkness go? The darkness disappears because it has been brightened, it has been lightened, okay, lit up. Okay, and then the questions that we can ask ourselves, like just like what Vimalakirti mentioned, okay, so why Vimalakirti or any of the Bodhisattvas, including the ones that we might know, like Guanyin Bodhisattvas, we know that Guanyin Bodhisattvas had already realized full enlightenment, but yet Guanyin Bodhisattvas vow to continue one's practice in helping all beings. Even though being in the world of suffering, or being here in the place where we have greed, anger, and hatred, why a Bodhisattva still choose to be here to lend a hand to all beings? Okay, so it's just like ourselves. Sometimes we have this vow to continue to help others, continue to help one organization, continue to be part of the charity works that you are into it. Okay, but sometimes we might come to a stage where we try our best to put others before ourselves, but physically we might feel that we're so tired of doing that. Okay, like so tired with every single event, with every single things that you continue to volunteer, you continue to help on, but then always towards the end of the activities, that might not be any recognition, that might not be any thank you, and then we physically still feel exhausted, but then why do we still continue on doing it? Okay, so this is a question that similar to why a Bodhisattva chose to become a person again, a practitioner again, or being here in a place that is filled with suffering. Okay. And then this question also reflects upon what we do every day. Okay. As I said, I remembered when I first went to Foguangshan in Malaysia, and I had a 2-month study in British College. During that time, um, I didn't really know the schedule being in the Buddhist college, but before going there, but to me, like I just follow what is on the schedule. So by following the schedule, and there will be times every day, is sweeping the floor, doing chores. And then I realized that the time that we're given to sweep the whole big place, it consumed a lot of time. So because it takes a lot of time for me to sweep and remove all the fallen leaves, remove them from the ground, I only have like less than 10 minutes time to take a shower. Okay, so it has been going on for like a week, but I realized that every time, no matter like how tired I was, like sweeping the floor, I even have like what do you call that? Couldn't find that word. Like, blisters, yes, blisters on my hands because of holding the brooms, even my feet because it's like walking here and there, back and forth, removing and sweeping and dumping the fallen leaves. But every time when I look at a ground, a floor that is filled with fallen leaves at the very beginning, and when I finish sweeping the floor, it's all clean, neat, and tidy. I experience that kind of like joy and happiness. Okay, it's by this, even though physically I feel tired, but mentally or in my mind, I can feel that that kind of like joy and happiness and satisfaction that are indescribable. Okay, so even though that this is just part of what we might experience from time to time, but I think this is what keeps a Bodhisattva keep on going on. This is what kept the Bodhisattvas continue to strive and work hard with, work on something that they look forward to. And of course, for Bodhisattvas, the distinction is a Bodhisattva is no longer attached to that, even like the action of like helping the person, the beings that were being helped, but all this Dharma joy or the bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment, that motivates and continues on the momentum for Bodhisattva to continue to being here in the world of suffering, in the Saha world, to continue to help out. And it's just like the sun, it's just like the light. Whenever there's light, the darkness will disappear, will cease to exist. Right? So, and then the Buddha said, okay, if bodhisattvas wish to acquire Buddha land as pure and spotless as this, then they should study the way practiced by the thus come one, immovable. So because they were discussing about the pure land of Ashobhya Buddha. Okay, so that's why the Buddha mentioned that, well, if you think that this Saha world is a place where it is filled with suffering, discomfort, and satisfactory, you can choose to be born in the Pure Land of the East, where Ashobhya Buddha is. So it is a place that is spotless, pure. There's no defilements, there's no negative emotions like greed, anger, and ignorance. And then the questions that from here we can tell, we can see that Shakyamuni Buddha, or even like among the Buddhas, okay, they won't care, they won't be calculative in terms of who you go to, where you want to be. Even though you're in the Saha world, in this place where Shakyamuni Buddha is a teacher, but for Shakyamuni Buddha, he still recommends that, oh, if you want to go to Stanford, you go ahead. If you want to go to Harvard, you go ahead. If you want to go to the Pure Land that resonates with your practice, go ahead. And then Shakyamuni Buddha continues to acknowledge the purity and the cultivation in different Pure Land, and not only Ashtaveda Buddha's Pure Land. Okay, so and of course, eventually the question comes back to Shakyamuni Buddha. How does one acquire or create a Buddha land? Okay, in the present life. Right? So we all know that even Verbal Master Xing Yun always reminded us that I am the Buddha. I am the Buddha to be. And Pure Land, even though we might think about a place that we can be born in the future lives, but how about the present life here? Okay, how can we perceive this place? How we look at this place as a Buddha land, and how do we look at it as a Buddha land in daily life? Okay, so this question is something that we can ask ourselves. How can Shakyamuni Buddha view this place as a Pure Land, and why can't we? Okay, why can't we? Why we cannot do so? Why we haven't done so? Okay, so it is a question that we can ask ourselves. How do we apply the recommended practices by Shakyamuni Buddha in our daily life, so that we can cultivate an environment that is filled with loving kindness, peace, mutual understanding, mutual tolerance, and whatever that we do is benefiting oneself and others. Okay, so cultivation is together. So the question that we ask ourselves, how to acquire Buddha land in this world? And I've included this a page from the Big Panda, the book on Big Panda and Tiny Dragon. And then I kind of like about the message here. I'm too busy to see the flowers right now. Say the tiny dragon. Tiny dragon is like the one to the right. It looks like a stick. It's right under the cherry blossom or the tree. With a scribbling the piece of paper, that is a little dragon, tiny dragon. And then a big panda standing to the left. And then the tiny dragon is busy writing on a piece of paper, doing whatever that he needs to do. And he said, I'm too busy to see the flowers right now. Okay. And then the big panda said, all the more reasons to look at them, said the big panda. And they might not be there, might not be here tomorrow. So where's the Buddha land? How do we acquire the Buddha land? And how do we look at and experience the purity in this world amidst of all the things that have happened and the things that are happening today? Okay. And sometimes there are things that we might have taken for granted. That's reason why it's a good reminder for us to really see what we have and really cherish what we have. And of course, for us to really see the reality in front of us, and instead of like seeing things that we want to see and hearing the words that we want to hear, but we have to see things as it is instead of like seeing things as what we want to see. And we have to listen to the sounds or the words as they are instead of like listening to what we want to hear. The same goes to how we perceive with our mind, with our senses. Okay, so how to acquire Buddha land in this world is the question that you can think about it. And just like what I mentioned, the other question about how are we going to learn from the Bodhisattvas in terms of the motivation in continuing one's practice despite all the challenges that we might have experienced throughout our life. There's always ups and downs, there's always challenges, especially whenever we have a bigger heart to do something good. Sometimes the challenges could be bigger. And if our original intention if it is not being reminded from time to time, we might have forgotten why we want to do it in the first place. So all the journey starts with the first step. And for us to continue on to this journey to Buddhahood, it takes a lot of encouragements towards ourselves in our practice. And it takes a lot of acknowledgement to ourselves in terms of knowing how we are doing and what we should do and what we can do and what we need to do. Okay, that is practice. Okay, so from the Bodhisattva's path to how we can create or acquire, quote unquote, acquire is not really having something, but acquire, quote unquote, Buddha land in this world. Okay, so, and for not next week, but the following week, we're going to continue to look at the offering itself, the Dharma, or the law. Okay, why is the offering of Dharma considered the highest form of offering? Okay, and why is it so? And what is the significance behind that? And then we will come to a conclusion at the end of the Vimalakirti Sutra. So next week, we're going to take a break. I know like many people are busy with family get together, getting gifts or celebration. And for us in San Diego, Shivan Temple, we're going to have between November 29th evening until December 1st, we have 2.5 days of community of practice program where we emphasize on coming together, finding the common ground in learning the Dharma, and also a way for us to have mutual support and bonding within this Sangha, within this spiritual home, family, I would say. And we also, this program, we have invited guest speakers like Ina from Orlando. She's the lay Dharma lecturer. And of course, we have Rebel Joey from Australia Nantian Institute that she happens to be here. And of course, we also have the Noble Jeji will be flying in from Austin. Okay, so everyone, when we get together, we can share what we learn, we can share what we do. And most importantly is this is more of like the Dharma family coming together. Okay, so this is what I would like to share for today. I kind of like going the speed from 110 to 60 today. I know that my Kurti Sutra, even for myself, it takes a few times to really read it and read it again and again and again. And because my Kurti Sutra is looking from the Bodhisattva's practice level. And for us, we're still not yet there, but we try to understand so that it acts as a motivation for us to look forward to. And then hopefully that we try to relate to what we're experiencing in our daily life. Okay. So any comments, questions, or anything that you would like to share? Yes. Yes, Caroline.
I have something to share. Since I've been studying for a short period, about 3 years now, uh, and I read chapter 13 already, and it talks about teaching the Dharma to others. And at first I thought that I've only been learning for 3 years. That seems a really daunting task. And I discovered that through my practice, it already seems to have components of uh, looking at the world in a different way, so that when I speak to people, I think, in a way, talking about the Dharma, although not using any of those words. Just it's become a practical way to be in the world. And also, your teaching here, I had some questions, and throughout you answered all of them, which I found fascinating. So I have no
Right.
question. Thank you.
So I always share with the class saying that I'm not teaching, I'm just sharing what I know, and I always look forward to listening to your feedbacks, and also this is how we learn together. Okay, so I don't have all the answers to all the questions, but it is also a good reminder for me to look into from this angle. You help me see from a different perspective of this sutra. Yeah, and then the key thing about what we learn is we try to reflect in our daily life. We try to practice it to really see it. Okay, so this is something slightly different than other religions. Buddhism is very practical, but Buddhism is not just what the Buddha shared with us. It's not just in the book, but it is part of our life that we lived in. Okay? And then the Dharma helps us see, help us know. Okay? It doesn't mean that in the past, before learning the teachings, we don't see, we don't hear. But we are only seeing things that what we perceive, what we want to see. Right? But when we learn the Dharma, it helps us to see things as it really is. Okay, and just like just a few days ago, where we have one devotee that his mom is like 80 plus years old. And then before, when she was here in San Diego, she even though she's almost 80 years old back then, she's continued to volunteer. She drove to the temple. But when she moved to Oregon, where she wanted to stay with her daughter because here she's just by herself. And then when she moved over, the causes and conditions, it happens to be that the second month where she moved there, she found out that she has a tumor in her right brain. And then the cells, according to what the doctor mentioned, it's like they didn't do a biopsy because it's too complicated, because brain is very sensitive. They can just see via I'm not sure, is it MRI, whatever, screening, and then the doctor said that she only have 6 months. And imagine a person, even ourselves, even though we might know about the teachings and realization of non-self, or where everything is beyond as physically, we can try to manage our physical condition, including our mind, but there are things that are beyond our control. The non-self itself it is beyond our 100% managed. If you just like a person who experienced stroke, and then there's unable to raise the hand, even though the mind is trying to tell to raise the hand, but it's beyond its non-self. Okay, at that point, even including ourselves, sometimes we are unable to accept what is happening physically and including our mind. So how does this situation help us utilize and remind ourselves of what the Buddha mentioned about dependent origination, remind us about non-self? That is crucial. We don't have to wait until then. We can start right now, like every day, whenever we're feeling physically like that something changes. Okay? It is the precious thing about Dharma is happening every day, every moment. It's just like sometimes we need to pause and see, pause and look. And even like when we're doing it, sometimes it's just a gentle reminder, a recollection of what we learned from the Buddha. Sometimes it helps us go through and face challenges with a calmer mind and with ease, peace of mind. Even though sometimes we might still have emotions, we all do. But with one experience after the other, how can we contemplate and try with each experience how we're going to see it slightly different with each experience? This is so precious about the Dharma because every day, every moment is for us to experience and to see it for ourselves. Okay. I'm not saying that we all try to take the challenges in our life, but when things happen, we don't look at it as something bad. We just look at it as an opportunity for us to reflect, for us to see, for us to experience it. If not, that will just slip by, just like that. We might be emotionally entangled to sickness, not to sickness, to sadness, to disappointment, anger, and many things. Okay, but then again, we are not perfect. We are still learning, and we are not judging ourselves with each experience. Yeah, but we learn through that. Okay, so thank you again for your comments, and so let us conclude with dedication merit. Okay, so let me see, where's my slides? Wait, sorry. Okay, so last slide, let us all join our poems. May kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity pervade all worlds. May we cherish and build affinities to benefit all things. May Chan, Pure Land, and precepts inspire equality and patience. May our humility and gratitude give rise to great vows. So let me stop sharing for now. Okay, so I hope everyone enjoy your holidays. I know some of you will be having holidays soon. And then for those of you who are volunteering, all the best to you. And for those of you who are coming to Shifan Temple, we all look forward to having you. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Venerable.
Take
Thank
care.
you, Venerable.
Everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Beautiful.
Bye.